limitation of Hadoop 1.x, right? Because we must understand why this Hadoop 1.x is not a good idea to implement in these days, right? Number one was your name node was a single point of failure, right? That means if name node fails, then you are gone, right? You have no other way because your secondary name node cannot do anything. The secondary name node only helps you to prepare your to take your FS image and edit logs, merge them and send it back to your name node, right? That is what it could do. What if your name node fails? If suppose your name node fails, let's say your name node, the machine on which your name node was working is completely inaccessible, right? It's gone. The hard disk is corrupted, and let's say there is no way out, you can get those information back. In that case, we can reach out to secondary name node because the secondary name node has a copy of the recently stored fs image file and then the edit files. Is not it? Now, even if you take the help of secondary name node, there will be little data loss. Little data loss. The reason is suppose this is your name node and suppose this is your secondary name node, right? And as per our understanding, by default the checkpoint happens every 1 hour. Okay, so what is the time now? The time is 8:18 a.m. IST. Okay, so let's assume this name node has loaded the data into the memory. Okay, and then all the new requests whatever is coming are always written back to your edit log, right? So 8:18, let's say a first checkpoint happened, done. Now the next checkpoint will happen at 9:18 a.m. IST. So at 8:18, secondary name node took the copy of fs image, took all the content of edit logs, merged them together, right? It created a new fs image, and this fs image is written back to your name node. At what time? At 8:18 a.m. Okay. So at 8:18 a.m. your secondary name node has taken fs image, edit logs, merged them together and wrote that data back to your name node. Done. Now the next checkpoint will happen at 9:18. But let's say at 9 o'clock this became inaccessible. At 9 o'clock this became inaccessible. Then what will you do? You will go back to your secondary name node. But secondary name node has the data till 8:18. It does not have the data between 8:18 to 9 o'clock, right? Because the next checkpoint is supposed to happen at 9:18, and right now it is 9 o'clock and my name node is inaccessible. There is no way how to recover it. So what will happen is I will get the best possible image of my name node, right? But I will be still losing some data here. Okay, this was also one of the problem of the name node in our Hadoop one, and definitely you will not like to use the software if that is buggy, right? So this is one of the biggest problem. Number second is it supports only map reduce job. Okay, so Hadoop 1.x says I can do anything for you, but you have to always submit me a map reduce job, right? Which means even if you're writing Hive query, it internally gets converted into map reduce job, right? But at the end of the day, your Hadoop one says I don't have capability to run any other jobs, right? It has to be only a map reduce job. And if I talk about Spark cannot run on Hadoop 1.x. It's not it because your Hadoop one says I need only map reduce job. Whereas Spark job is not a MapReduce job, right? It is completely different. It's not the MapReduce job, because when you write a Spark programming, you don't think what should I put on my map, what should I put on my reducer, right? So we don't do that. So it says I can only support MapReduce job and nothing else. This was one of the drawback of your Hadoop 1.x as well. Okay, so these were popularly two different drawbacks of Hadoop 1, like name node is a single point of failure, and your MapReduce job, it supports only MapReduce job. Now the third important drawback of your uh, Hadoop 1.x is whenever you submit a job in Hadoop, it is basically the MapReduce, okay, needs to negotiate. Okay, which means whenever I submit a job, okay, whenever I submit a job, the job goes to your job tracker, right? The job goes to the job tracker, and then it will schedule it, right? But this whole process were always negotiated by the MapReduce. So MapReduce is not just a program in Hadoop 1. MapReduce is basically a programming framework, as well as it is basically a network negotiator in Hadoop 1, right? So these were the top three, problems which everybody was facing when we were using Hadoop 1.x. The very most stable version of Hadoop 1.x is 1.2.1. Okay, this is what I feel is the most stable version of 1.2.1 of Hadoop 1. Okay, so these were the three limitations of Hadoop 1, because of which we had to go ahead with our next version of Hadoop, that is Hadoop 2. Okay, now Hadoop 2 solves all these three problems. Okay, which means in case of your Hadoop 2, this name node can be replicated. You can have many name nodes. So now the diagram will look like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is name node. Okay, this is secondary name node. Okay, this is not job tracker anymore. We will talk about that. So name node, secondary name node. Okay, data node, data node, data node, data node, data node. Now this is not any more task tracker in Hadoop 2. Okay, we'll talk about that. So in case of Hadoop 2, what you can do is you can say I want to have one more name node, and I want to have one more name node. Okay, so I have name node 1, I have name node 2, and I have name node 3. These are the three name nodes which you can configure in your Hadoop 2.x. And out of this, one would be active, okay, and others two would be a standby, which means if this fails, then this can take up the role and responsibility. Okay, so this is basically a set of name nodes. Okay, now in our Hadoop 1, we used to have only one name node, right? Which means your edit logs, FS system are all kept here itself. And that was the biggest risk, is not it? Now in Hadoop 2, it says, hey, let's make the life a little more easy. When let us introduce something else called as journal nodes. Okay, and when we are storing this data, edit logs data, right, let us not just store it here, let us also store them here. Okay, so your FS image and your edit logs are stored here as well. They are just the node for you. Okay, so they are just the backup node for you. So now what will happen is, whenever there is, see, this is the active guy, this is the active guy now, right? Now whenever this is happening, like whenever you have this name node uh, uh, active and all the IO operations are being done, what will happen is it has the capability to store the data here, but it can also send the data to some other machine. Okay, it can also send this FS image and edit log to some other machine. So this could be written back to this journal notes as well. Now, in case of any failure, in case of let's say this failed, okay, let's say this failed, then also there is no problem because all these journal notes have the same copy. The secondary name node can always do this job again, right? So it can take the data from FS edit, FS image and edit log, merge them and continuously keep updating the name node. But at the end of the day, your name node is not going to suffer any problem and you are not going to lose the data even if this machine goes down, because you already have some other place where the data can be stored. Okay. Sorry. Now this can be stored in some other network drive as well. Okay, so that is purely configurable and you can always do that in Hadoop 2, right? So this is the biggest advantage this Hadoop 2 has brought in terms of this name node single point of failure, which was basically a bottleneck. Okay, now let's talk about this. We will talk about what exactly will be here, what exactly will be here, like how the job tracker and the task trackers are replaced. We will talk about it, but right now I'm just focusing on this part. Next, MapReduce job. So in Hadoop 2, okay, one very important concept that came into picture is yarn. Okay, see, as I told you, in Hadoop 1, MapReduce had to take the responsibility of negotiating. And when I say negotiating, that means whenever you submit a job, right, somebody has to go and see where exactly this job can be executed in the cluster. Is not it? What the progress of these jobs, right? Of course, that would be given to the job tracker, right? But somebody has to negotiate. Hey, a job tracker, I think this is what the status of the job of the cluster, and you take this job and then schedule it wherever you feel best, right? So in Hadoop 2, we got a concept called yarn, and the full form of yarn is yet another resource negotiator. Okay, which completely says, hey, don't give a lot of pressure to MR. Okay, let this MR only concentrate on writing programs, right? Executing the programs, and we will have yarn which will now be used as a negotiator. Okay, it will be used to negotiate the resources from the cluster, right? So this is what we have got a biggest thing in Hadoop 2, and as a result of which now the yarn says we will not just support MapReduce job, we can support any other kind of job as well, like, right? So which means in Hadoop 1, if you're using yarn and you can say I want to write a MapReduce job, go ahead. I want to write a Hive queries, go ahead. And I want to write a Spark job, go ahead and do it, right? So you are not just, you are not just stuck with writing a MapReduce job anymore, right? Similarly, your yarn has taken Hadoop to the next level, because now yarn says, hey, don't worry, I am there to negotiate all the job. You basically just focus on executing the MapReduce program, right? So it has given it has released a huge burden from this MR, because earlier the MR had to negotiate as well. Okay, so this is what we had the limitation of Hadoop 1, and they are all addressed by your Hadoop 2. Is not it? Okay. Now let us talk about Hadoop 2 architecture. So let me erase this. Okay, so the best way to learn would be, I would suggest everybody to note it down on your notebook. Of course, I'll provide you the notes, but note it down on your notebook. The way I'm writing a diagram, drawing the diagram, you also do it, right? Because see, I'm not referring to any books right now. Whatever is in my mind, I'm just telling you out, right? And how is it in my mind? Because I have to study. If I need to teach you correctly, then I have to study this whole thing very accurately. Otherwise, it is not possible. So for you also, you must write all these notes so that you will be able to remember it for a longer time.